Proverbs chapter 23 is where our main thought will be this evening, with several other passages thrown in. Proverbs 23, verse 23 says, the first part, "Buy the truth and sell it not." Buy the truth and sell it not. Anyone here ever hear of Warren Buffett? You ever had to loan him any money, Jack? Help him through a tight spot? Warren Buffett likes to buy and hold. Buy and hold. Now, I think last year he sold, what was it, United Airlines, or anyway, sold one of the airlines. He decided that was a bad deal. But Warren Buffett's idea of investment is buy and hold. And the Proverbs writer said it this way: buy the truth and sell it not. Why truth? Jesus said in John 14:6, "I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man cometh unto the Father but by me." Truth is necessary if we're going to make it to heaven. In Psalms 32:8, the psalmist said, "I will instruct thee and teach thee in the way which thou shalt go. I will guide thee with mine eye." Truth is necessary if we're to know God's will. Psalmist said in 119:66, "Teach me good judgment and knowledge, for I believe thy commandments." And also in verses 98 and 99, "Thou through thy commandments hast made me wiser than mine enemies, for they are ever with me. I have more understanding than all my teachers, for thy testimonies are my meditation." Truth is necessary if we're going to live a solid, learned life. It's the foundation of learning. So we need to buy the truth and sell it not. And if we're going to be buying, what do we need to do? What makes one a good buyer? What makes somebody a good buyer? Well, the first thing you want to do is look for the best. Look for the best. If you're going to go out buying a vehicle, you know good and well that you need to be at the Chevrolet dealership, not at the Ford or Dodge dealership. You need to be looking for the best. That aluminum bed on a Ford pickup will just crumple like a pop can. I don't know that I ever saw it, but I heard about a Chevy commercial a few years ago. A Ford and Chevy man had backed a boat into the lake, and something had happened. And the Chevy truck had sunk. And basically that the weight of the boat had pulled it into the water, maybe. It didn't have the power to come up off the boat ramp. And somebody asked the man driving the Chevy, "How did it sink?" And he said, "Like a rock." So you need to buy the best. My cousin Brandon sells a lot of stuff on Amazon, and he said that right before Christmas, he raises the price, which went contrary to my thought. I would think before Christmas, you'd want to clear out your inventory, you'd want to be done, but he said no. Right before Christmas, the closer you get to Christmas, raise the price, because it's the men shopping by that time, and they're not shopping, they're buying, and they're just going to take whatever they need and get it. So he said, you can raise the price and make more money. We read reviews. Heidi and I went out to supper the other night, and she read reviews. This place had 4.2 stars on 116 people, and this one had 4.5 on 1,072. And you read reviews because you want to buy the best. You're looking for the best. The psalmist said in Psalms 135, verses 15 through 18, "The idols of the heathen are silver and gold, the work of men's hands. They have mouths, but they speak not. Eyes have they, but they see not. They have ears, but they hear not. Neither is there any breath in their mouths. They that make them are like unto them, so is every one that trusteth in them. False gods and idols are no good. They cannot compare to the real thing." We need to be looking for the best. Secondly, as we're shopping and looking and going to be a buyer, we need to know where to shop. Where to shop. I was needing some chains. It's been a year or so ago. And my brother-in-law that is now he's the number 2 man and a part owner in that business in Michigan that makes tater diggers. He said, if you ever need chain, I can get better chain cheaper than anywhere you'll find it. So I needed some chain, and I don't even remember how stout a chain I bought. I think it's 3/8 maybe. It's really high grade. And it was cheap. It was about half the price of what it would have cost at Lowe's. If you were to go south of Avon, 5 highways, a store called Spurlock Store at Squires, Missouri. And I don't know if it's still the case. It's been several years since I've been there. But you could find anything and everything, possibly. The path through there was barely enough to walk. If they ever got it into inventory and it never sold, they never took it out. So you might find stuff from the 60s in there, the 70s or the 80s. They had denim jeans that just, as the styles changed, you could dig through there, rummage sale, brand new stuff, old. Osaka's here in Rogers. If you need good sushi, I know where to get it. Several years ago, we were doing OCAC, and we had stopped at Tractor Supply Company in Cassville. And it was up in the afternoon, maybe early evening, and they had Teddy's orange cream soda. And I like an orange pop once in a while. This was $1 for a quart bottle of it, so you don't expect much when you're $1 a quart. And I got some of this orange pop, and it was wonderful. I mean, absolutely wonderful. To the point I was convinced I had never seen it anywhere else except there. I came home, tracked down a salesman from the factory, and tried to order it. I was going to peddle it in Branson. I mean, this stuff is good. You would have a royal, loyal following in a hurry with Teddy's orange cream soda. Wonderful drink. He said, how'd you get it out there? He said, shipping is horrendous. We can't get it to the Midwest. Well, I told him, and he said, well, the Tractor Supply's hub is in Utah, so that's probably in their logistics department is how you got it. But he said, there's no way we can supply you to be a salesman. But he said, what kind do you like? And in 2 or 3 days, the UPS man delivered several cases of Teddy's Pop to my door. I had found where to shop for pop. Where to shop. You all have places you know where you can get knickknacks or trinkets or chains or tools or parts or a little hole in the wall. Where to shop? Well, when we're looking for truth, Psalms 19 verse 7 says, the law of the Lord is perfect, converting the soul. The testimony of the Lord is sure, making wise the simple. The statutes of the Lord are right, rejoicing the heart. The commandment of the Lord is pure, enlightening the eyes. The fear of the Lord is clean, enduring forever. The judgments of the Lord are true and righteous altogether. When we're looking for truth, get it from God's Word. After we found out where to shop, we need to talk with the salesman. Talk with the salesman. 2008, Heidi and I had gotten married, and we needed new cell phones. So we went to the Verizon store in Branson, and he convinced us that these little red, mine was red and hers was blue. No, it was backwards. Yours was red and mine was blue. Samsung phones were the thing to get. They had good reception, you get good coverage. I mean, he told us all this hoopla. Found out later he's lying through his teeth or dumber than a post, one of the two. But he was trying to tell us how good these cell phones were, and they were a joke. Junk. Heidi lost hers in the field, and we never did find it. That's what she says. She may have thrown it in the river. I mean, they were awful. Absolutely awful. But that guy didn't know diddly squat about a cell phone. But you go to a restaurant and you get a chubby waitress, she'll tell you the truth. She'll know exactly if that food's good and if it's not. You want a good salesperson. I was selling bulls several years ago, and Boone Hodges came, and I had 2 bulls, and he liked one and he didn't like the other. And I said, don't buy it. I did my best to talk him out of buying it. And he proceeded to talk himself into it. We need a good salesman if we're going to be buying something. John chapter 14:13 says, "And whatsoever ye shall ask in my name, that will I do, that the Father may be glorified in the Son. If you ask anything, ask the salesman. Ask for the truth. He'll answer it if we ask him." Fourth, after we've talked to a salesman, we need to be prepared to pay. Prepared to pay. We don't want sticker shock. How many people have gone and shopped for a new vehicle lately? When I bought my truck in 2017, it was a 16, but I bought it in 17. They had Suburbans there stickered for $73,000 and change. And my inclination was that was just the starting price. Well, that dealership is a no-haggle dealership, and either we were going to, which we weren't looking for a Suburban, but somebody was going to pay $73,000 or walk. That was their choices. I went inside, and they had a Corvette, and I think it was $106,000. I don't know who could afford that. But be prepared to pay. If you're going to buy something, be prepared to pay for it. Don't expect to get a $10 item for a nickel. Be prepared to pay. In 2015, the house Mother and Dad had built in Bradleyville, Dad put on the market, I think in the $160,000 or $65,000 range. I don't remember. It was in that neighborhood, and it sold in 2015. The people that bought it updated it and made it look very nice. It looked really, really good. And it went back on the market last fall for $249,000. In a week, was it 8 offers they had? And the offer that they took, whoever it was that was selling it, was up closer to $260,000, $100,000 more in 5 years in the real estate market, plus some updating on that house. But whoever bought it needed to be prepared to pay it. There was a boy that had attended Hercules as a kid, and his dad called my dad and said, you know, they're selling your other house, et cetera, et cetera. It's going to be listed. And Dad said, if he wants it, he needs to pay it and buy it. It will sell at that price, and obviously it did. Be prepared to pay. 2 Corinthians chapter 5, verses 14 and 15 say, "For the love of Christ constraineth us, because we thus judge that if one died for all, then we're all dead. And that he died for all, that they which live should not henceforth live unto themselves, but unto him which died for them and rose again." If we want truth, we're going to pay for it living for him. It's going to cost us our proverbial lives if we want truth. Be prepared to pay. Fifth, we don't want to be buying knockoffs. Has anybody here heard of Angel Food Ministries, where churches get boxes of food and pass out to people that may or may not be in need? Well, there was a church at home that had gotten into this Angel Food Ministries. And it's a good idea, good thought. And they had what they called a filet of beef. Now, in my dumb mind, I read that as filet mignon. Mister, there is nothing similar between a filet of beef from Angel Food Ministries and a filet mignon from a prime steer in a feedlot. Nothing. It was a knockoff. Now, granted, it cost me $0, so it really didn't matter. But you get online and you start shopping for what people would call a brush hog or a bush hog. Well, bush hog is a brand of brush hogs. So you could have Woods or Sidewinder, John Deere, Kubota, Rhino, Land Pride, Bush Hog. All those companies make a brush hog, a rotary mower, but only Bush Hog is a bush hog. Uncle Keith called me this week and asked me if I knew anything about a Fulton shotgun. I'd never heard of them. They were made by L.C. Smith, which I had heard of them. Or what about Musselman's applesauce? Does anybody here like Musselman's applesauce? What about plain old-fashioned Walmart Great Value or Equate applesauce? My cousin Jonathan, truck driver, said when he goes to Musselman's applesauce factory, he loads 2 applesauces, Walmart and Musselman's. He said they're the exact same applesauce. So in that case, buying the knockoff, you're saving some money. But don't buy knockoffs. You want the real deal. 1 John chapter 4, verses 1 through 3 say, Beloved, believe not every spirit, but try the spirits, whether they are of God, because many false prophets are gone out into the world. Hereby know ye the Spirit of God. Every spirit that confesseth that Jesus Christ is come in the flesh is of God. And every spirit that confesseth not that Jesus Christ is come in the flesh is not of God. And this is that spirit of Antichrist, whereof ye have heard that it should come, and even now already is in the world. We need to get the real and not the fake. There is an imposter trying to trip us up and mess us up. Sixth, if we're shopping and looking, we need to know value. Know the value. In 1987, my dad bought a ceramic eagle at an auction of Grandpa's. I think the wingspan was something between 4 and 5 feet. It was a really nice ceramic piece. I think my memory was coming in for a landing maybe. Big old ceramic eagle. And Dad paid $450 for it at this auction of Grandpa's. And sold it to a dealer in Atlanta, Georgia for $4,500. Now this is in 1987 when $4,500 meant more then than it does now. So if he were here, Dad could tell you the story of how he got this dumb eagle from Indiana back to Iowa and then got it packed up and flew with it from central Iowa to Atlanta, Georgia to sell it for $4,500. And Dad said the guy that was buying it emptied out all his pockets before he would lean over into the box and look at this eagle. And so Dad felt so proud, so smug at the deal he had just made. And walking through the airport, he saw another one of those eagles for sale. Somehow he saw it for $15,000, and he had just sold his for $4,500. Kind of cut the wind out of his sails. But we need to know value. Know what we're looking at, what it's worth. I'm looking for a set of 3/4 drive sockets and ratchets. And the set I had or use is Dad's, and with us moving, I give it back to him, but I'd like a set. So I looked on Harbor Freight's website, and I can buy a Harbor Freight set, a ratchet, an extension, and several 3/4 drive sockets for $69.99. $69.99. Or I can buy some Snap-ons without the ratchet for $1,530. Heidi said, is there not something between the two? But what's the value? Snap-ons probably aren't worth it. You're probably wasting $70 if you buy those from Harbor Freight. I don't know. But Romans chapter 5 and verse 8 says, if I get back over here, I think I can quote it. But God commendeth his love toward us, and that while we were yet sinners, Christ died for us. The value is truth was worth the price of God's Son, and he was willing to pay it for us to have it. Truth is valuable. It cost God his Son. We need to know the value. Seventh, as a good shopper, as we've shopped around and we've talked to the salesman and we're prepared to pay and we're not going to buy any knockoffs and we know the value, we come down to just pay the price. Just buy it. Just buy it. I had bought a gun. It was a .223 over 20 gauge, a break open over and under. And it was a wonderful truck gun. I carried that in the truck, and being a single shot, it was safe. You could leave it open. You could instantly see if it was loaded or not. And with a .223, you could shoot armadillos way out there, or shoot snakes right here. I tried to shoot an armadillo from about me to Roy back there, and 20 gauge won't penetrate. The pellets bounced off of him. But that gun, I really liked it. And I took a notion one day, even as much as I liked it, I traded it on another gun. So the value of what I got rid of in that over and under, .223 over 20 gauge, was about $235. And I regretted it later. So time goes on, and it's probably been 3 or 4 or 5 years ago, Bob Spleen found one like I wanted at an auction and bought it for $650. And I had sold mine for $235. You know what I did? Paid the price. I wanted it. I actually traded him something for it, but I wanted it. I got it. It didn't matter. I hadn't been able to find one. I just paid the price and bought it. It's said that a woman will pay $2 for a $10 item because it's cheap. And a man will pay $10 for a $2 item because he wants it and needs it. I suspect there's some truth to that. And there have been times, I think of a tractor one time I looked at that the guy wanted $20,000 for it. I didn't have it. I was barely 20 years old and trying to get started in farming, and I felt like it was more prudent to buy a little tractor as opposed to that big tractor. And so I passed it up. I didn't pay the price. It wasn't but about 5 or 6 years, and that $20,000 tractor, through the way the farm market went, was worth about $35,000, nearly doubled in value. I should have just paid it and moved on, but I didn't. But when it comes to spiritual things and truth, we need to just pay the price and get it. Romans chapter 10, verses 8 through 13. But what saith it? Let's go to verse 9. That if thou shalt confess with thy mouth the Lord Jesus, and shalt believe in thine heart that God hath raised him from the dead, shalt thou be saved. For with the heart man believeth unto righteousness, and with the mouth confession is made unto salvation. For the Scripture saith, whosoever believeth on him shall not be ashamed. For there is no difference between the Jew and the Greek, for the same Lord over all is rich unto all that call upon him. For whosoever shall call upon the name of the Lord shall be saved. Having truth is worth whatever it's going to cost us. Just pay the price. Pay the price. And when you buy it, and when you get it, don't sell. Don't sell. One of the guns I bought, in fact, it's the reason I sold that over and under, is a Ruger Model 77. It's a stainless barrel with, I think they call them a skeleton stock. It's just a different looking stock. And I bought it at an auction and gave $350 for it. And it had a 10% buyer's premium, and then I had to pay sales tax. So it cost me like $412. A kid offered me $850 for it here recently. I wouldn't even price it, and I wouldn't sell it. I'm not going to price it. I'm not going to sell it. It's not for sale. Last summer, a guy asked me what I wanted for my pickup. Well, I had learned several years ago, if you don't want to sell it, don't price it, because a guy left me a foot. So Roger Lance stood there leaning against the hood of my truck, and he said, what do you take for this? He said, it'd make a good farm truck with that 8-foot bed. He said, I could put a hay bed on it and a cake feeder and be okay. I wouldn't price it, because he might buy it, and I'd be left a foot. Larry Clark had a place north of Bradleyville, and Rex Maggard would come up there and say, what do you take for this? What do you take for this? What do you take for this? And Larry wouldn't price it, wouldn't price it, wouldn't price it. And one day Larry said, I got mad at him, and I just priced it so high he wouldn't buy it. But he did. Don't ever price something. I was sitting at the feed store one day, and Roger Cheney had asked me about my bull Frosty. He was a Hereford that had been born in a cold spell, and the end of his ears had been burned off, frost bit off. And so we named this bull Frosty. I told Roger, I don't know, $1,700, $1,800. He said, well, which? I said, split the difference, $1,750. So I was sitting there at the table, and Roger's up buying his feed. And he turned around and handed me a check and said, bring him over. Don't price it if you don't want to sell it. 2 Peter chapter 2, verses 20 and 21. For it had been better for them not to have known the way of righteousness, than after they had known it to turn from the holy commandment delivered unto them. But it happened unto them according to the true proverb, the dog is turned out to his own vomit again, and the hog that was washed to her wallowing in the mire. The cost to sell is too great. The danger is too much. It's not worth it to sell it. So when we read in Proverbs 23 to buy the truth and sell it not, we should buy it. Buy the truth, having looked for the best and know where to shop and talk to the salesman and be prepared to pay the price. Don't buy knockoffs. We know the value, and then we'll just pay the price for it. And when we get it, we won't sell. Buy the truth and sell it not. That's all I have.